Thank you for listening to BizPod with me, Paul.
And me, Rachel.
Our weekly business English podcast where we talk about the news, social media, and hot topics from a business point of view. You'll get a podcast and links to the articles we discuss. This way you can share your thoughts too. Join us as we discuss what's on our minds this week. So, Rachel, let's talk about the Olympics.
I'm not really interested in the Olympics.
Why? Why not?
Because, well, I like the Winter Olympics. When it's hot, the last thing I want to do is watch a lot of athletes sweating.
Okay, it is the Summer Olympics. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's the hottest time of the year, and it is really, really hot and humid for us. Mm-hmm. It was raining in Paris, though. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, the opening ceremony was the boats were going past. It was absolutely pouring with rain.
And I saw some of the bike races, and the bikes were going around corners, and they're on very, very thin tyres, and they were just slipping and sliding and falling off all over the place. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the Olympics is a very big business. Mm-hmm. In fact, according to the article, they're $1 billion business.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting article, an eye-opener to the business behind it.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of numbers that they talk about are incredible. Mm-hmm. The winter, where is it? Where are we talking about? The Tokyo Olympics cost $7.6 billion US dollars. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't imagine $7.6 billion. It's crazy money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think hosting a sporting event would cost so much money?
Well, there's building new arenas to hold the events. They might not have all the facilities in place. Then there is the infrastructure that goes with them. And that's not cheap, is it?
No. Yeah.
Then there's the promotion, the advertising.
Yeah. Actually, can I correct myself? Mm-hmm. I've just sort of checked. So the actual Tokyo Games cost was officially listed at $13 billion US dollars. Yeah. The figure of $7.6 billion that I read out before was the actual income. Wow. So then they're making barely half the amount that it costs to put the Olympics on.
Yeah.
That's obviously, in my view, that's a crazy business model.
But it does promote the country, doesn't it? It's meant to be a cultural thing to expose, like the Tokyo Games was to expose the Japanese culture, Japan to the world. So maybe it gets paid back in following tourism and things like that.
Okay. So there's lots of intangibles that you get with hosting this kind of sporting event. It's a bit like the Football World Cup. It can cost billions, but you don't really know how much revenue or profit you're going to make from it because it's still going to be generating revenue 10, 15, 20 years later, maybe.
Should be, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so in Paris, the Summer Olympics is happening in Paris right now. The Winter Olympics
is in Italy.
In Milan.
Yeah.
And that's 2026.
Yeah.
How much, I'm just curious, what do you think it would cost to host a Winter Olympics Games rather than a Summer Olympics Games?
I don't know. And I'm thinking, there's lots of winter sport in Italy. I mean, are they going to reduce the winter sport as in a tourist attraction for them to hold the Winter Olympics? And also with climate change, is there going to be a Winter Olympics?
Yeah.
There might not be any snow.
Yeah, that's true. There wasn't that much snow this year, was there? So if they're going to do the Winter Olympics, they're going to have to guarantee snow. So they have to have those snow machines.
But how can you guarantee? And should you guarantee? Should it really still be Winter and Summer Olympics? Is this business model with the view of climate change wrong?
Well, maybe I don't see why they can't have Winter Olympics, but they should have Winter Olympics in places that are always cold. The North Pole.
I just don't know whether it's very relevant anymore. I can understand for the the athletes, they want to go, and it's a big event for them to win a medal for their country. But I just don't think the consumer, the normal person in the street, really cares. Football is different.
Okay.
But
yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like this year in Paris, one of the sporting events that you can compete in and win a medal in is BMX bike riding.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I think the Olympics sort of they're trying to expand the number of people that they can appeal to, but they're doing it too wide. They're trying to include everybody. Whereas I don't know, when I think of the Olympics, I think of track and field. The classics.
But I mean, BMX bike riding and the tricks they do, it is a skill.
Yeah.
Now, I would argue they shouldn't have equestrian sports, because it's the horse that actually does it, not the person sat on the horse.
I completely agree with you. I'm totally with you.
I would say yes to the BMX bike, but no to the equestrian. What about shooting?
I don't know. I don't like I said. I think over the years they've expanded the number of sports that are included far too wide, and it should be, in my view, it should be a specialist thing. Track and field, gymnastics.
You mean like the Greeks originally had?
Yeah, why not? Then they would have better control over the costs of running it, and possibly be able to use existing, stadiums and infrastructure rather than having to rebuild everything every 4 years.
Now you're talking about legacy, aren't you?
Legacy, yeah, from the TV show on the BBC 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we were in Manchester, weren't we, when they had the Commonwealth Games there?
Yeah.
And I had some of my colleagues actually became volunteers.
Okay.
And they didn't get paid, and it says in the article that, you've got to be able to afford the time off work. You've got to be quite well off to be a volunteer, because
it does, yeah.
You don't get paid.
Yeah.
But, the people I know who did it, they got loads of kit with, was it 2012 on? No, I can't remember.
No, 2012 was the London Olympics.
London Olympics, yeah.
The Commonwealth Games was probably about 10 years before that in Manchester.
But anyway, they got all loads of gear.
Yeah.
With it all on. And they got the prestige of, they all got allocated a country.
Okay.
To look after. And when they brought them out with the procession for the opening ceremony, they accompanied them. Okay. So they got a lot of cultural.
Yeah, I can understand
on a personal level. And they made a lot of friends.
Right.
So I think it was a fun thing for them to do.
Okay. Yeah. But you don't get paid. I mean, if we look at here, Paris was looking for 45,000 volunteers.
Yeah.
That's 45,000 people to work for free for however many hours over probably a 6-week period, I think, building up before, during, and after the event. Tokyo, 80,000 people. Yeah. Rio de Janeiro couldn't find enough people to work for free.
Yeah.
And here's some people showed up on the first day, collected their uniforms, and did not return. So you volunteer to get the uniform, probably because you can't afford new clothes in places like Rio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not right, is it?
No. It should, these events, I can understand maybe you want some volunteers at the ground level, but needing 45,000 volunteers to run an event, it's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And then we've got the politics.
Yeah. I'm thinking back to, I don't know when it was, but the Moscow Olympics. It probably must have been the 70s or the 80s. The Moscow Olympics, where the United States refused to go because of the Cold War. And then I think the 4 years later, it was in America, and the Russians refused to go. Politics. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, politics is in everything, but should it be in everything? I mean, what about because of the drug taking, and some athletes weren't allowed to represent? Was it Russia? So they became independent.
Yeah.
But then they had no country. I mean, just because you want to do your sport. It just doesn't feel relevant to today. It just feels, they need to let go. That's in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It doesn't feel relevant. And I think the way they're trying to make it relevant to everybody, it's just not sustainable. It's just not going to work.
No.
Yeah.
But it is about money, isn't it?
It's a business,
Yeah, I mean, there was in the article it mentions that certain countries, Germany and Switzerland and Sweden, actually dropped out because of high costs. And in 2017, there were only 2 bidders for the 2024 games. So Paris obviously got one, and the other bidder was Los Angeles, and they gave them the 2028 because nobody else, no other country wanted it because it's going to cost them too much money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a huge investment. But that's what I mean. They're trying to make it, you don't just have to build an athletics stadium. You've got to build a swimming pool and this and that.
Yeah.
And,
and then what are you going to do with them afterwards? You've got to make sure they are going to be used afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the Sochi Olympics. That now has become a great tourist destination for a lot of Russians to go to.
It was before though, wasn't it? It was the leading sort of winter sports destination for Russians.
Yeah, but did you hear about the dogs? There was lots of stray dogs and they were rounding them up and and moving people out, and the way they redeveloped it maybe wasn't in the best way.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that there's been sort of scandals about sort of developing stadiums, where they choose a region of the city, and they kick out 10,000 residents.
That's what happened in London, wasn't it? They kicked out council residents, built these posh flats for all the athletes to use while they were there, and then they got sold on for exclusive city residential places afterwards.
Yeah, so there's always sort of problems and corruption and scandals to deal with. It's not an easy thing. It makes me wonder why cities want to host it, but I can understand cities sort of pulling out because of the potential costs. The benefits aren't there, I don't think. Or maybe they are. I'm not an economic expert. Maybe there are benefits, but the benefits are 20 years in the future.
Well, Australia got offered the Olympics for 2032, 11 years in advance. So maybe if you've got so far in advance, you can set a little bit aside.
Yeah.
Obviously, costs are going to increase, but maybe it shouldn't be such a short bidding system. Maybe it should be with 10 or 20 years in advance.
So they have plenty of time.
Yeah,
I kind of agree. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that does, I won't surprise me, but like London in 2012 hosted the Olympics, and they built, the Olympic Village, all the venues, and London got lots and lots and lots and lots of investment. Regeneration of various parts of London. And I can understand if those...
It's the motivator, isn't it?
Yeah, if they needed regenerating. Yeah. And whatever the cost was, they did it. But then in the same government, in a sense, couldn't even be bothered to build a railway from London to Manchester. Yeah. Because they said it was just too expensive.
It's like, okay.
But a railway, a high-speed railway...
to connect the north with the south, instead of having a north-south divide.
Yeah. Think of the economic benefits of that, not just 20 years in the future, 50, 100 years in the future.
Yeah.
That is something that is as important as, a stadium for sports in London. But London always gets the investment in the UK. London and the South East.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a fan of the Olympics. It's all over the TV, but we haven't watched any of it, just the odd bit on the news.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in it. I will watch the Winter Olympics because I like the luge and the four-man bob.
Yeah.
Just because it looks really good fun. But I can't say I can't even say I know any athletes in the Summer Olympics.
No.
It's not like the days of Steve Cram and...
Sebastian Coe.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. I'm trying to think who was the... Eddie the Eagle. Do you remember Eddie the Eagle?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody watched that, didn't they? Everyone, you've got to watch Eddie.
Eddie the Eagle. I mean, what year was Eddie the Eagle in the Olympics?
Must be the 80s.
Yeah, sometime in the 80s. If you don't know who Eddie the Eagle is, he's actually had a movie made about his life story.
Yeah. It was, he did the downhill jump, didn't he?
Yeah, the, what's it called?
I can't remember.
The ski jump.
Yeah, but he was the only one from the UK who even did the sport, let alone, he was rubbish. He was no good at it. He wasn't even an athlete. But he became a hero, a national hero. Because we loved him, because he had a go.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you watching? What sport do you like? Do you think it's still worthwhile, or is it just for money?
Yeah, I'd also be very interested to know how much does a ticket cost if you want to actually go to watch, say, like a sporting event in Paris. I mean, have they made it affordable, 20, 30 euros, or are they like, is it like going to watch Champions League Cup final match where it's 500 euros for a ticket?
It should be free.
Yeah, it should be.
It should be free.
Should be free for everybody.
There you go.
There you go. I doubt it is, and I doubt it ever will be. There you go.
All right. Well, that's it for this week then.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope you liked our podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe and stay connected with us. Until next time, goodbye.